Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. This is Abel Pacheco, your host for the Five Talents Podcast. We are super excited today. We have an amazing guest, Mr. Alain Villegas. How's it going? How do you pronounce your last name properly? I say Villegas. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, it's Villegas. Yeah, that's right.
Villegas. All right. So Alain, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining. I do want to introduce him for just a second before we get started. So for those that don't know, Alain, he's an amazing multifamily syndicator, really is a full-time commercial real estate investor. He has had a lot of success in the multifamily space. Met him a couple of years ago, and you were one of the most, just warm, welcoming individuals that I met. We were at a big, large multifamily commercial real estate conference, and I'm shaking a bunch of hands, and Lane's right there. He's like, "Hey, Abel, nice to meet you. If you have any questions, you need anything, here's my card. Happy to help." And that actually was one of my first multifamily real estate conferences, Elaine. So I don't know if you knew that, but I want to say thank you, man. You've been amazing. It's been good to know you.
It's been a pleasure meeting you, Abel.
Yeah. So Alain lives in the Dallas, Texas metro. He's syndicated 8 deals as a lead sponsor, and he's passively invested in another 8 deals. So essentially like 16 total deals, 2,200 doors, $65 million worth of commercial real estate. So if you don't have a pen and piece of paper out, it's probably a good time. And if you're on the road or running or something active, then you can go back and rewind it later. But Alain, let you introduce yourself, brother. Tell us about yourself, who you are, what you do. Tell us about your beautiful children and your wife, Vanessa, all that good stuff, man.
Yes, Abel, thank you very much for having me. I'm Alain Villegas. I am a full-time commercial real estate investor. My wife, Vanessa, and I have a newborn baby boy, and together with our dog, Miko, we live in Dallas, Texas. And as Abel mentioned, I have ownership in a total of 1,600 apartment units. What I left out, Abel, is we're actually closing on another deal by end of this year. It's a 408 unit deal in Fort Worth. So I left out in that ownership portion because we are still to close on it, but it's certainly closing. We have completed the equity raise on that, and we are just waiting for the lender process to be completed.
Under contract, ready to get closed, and will be a nice jewel or one of the crown jewels in your portfolio. That sounds awesome. Is that your biggest deal to date? It sounds like, right?
Yes, that's the biggest deal that we have so far, and we are fortunate. I know we are on tough times this year, but we were fortunate and blessed to have the best year yet on our multifamily investing.
Yeah, that's so awesome, and it's a testament, really, I think, to when you have your goals set, when you're driving towards, your goals, you're persistent, you're determined, you have a lot of momentum. It's not like you just popped up yesterday and started doing these deals. There's a ton of obstacles, a ton of challenges that you've come through. And it just, the culmination of this year was, it just landed on a tough, crazy year, but you were already on the train. The momentum was already headed there, and it led to one of the best years ever, man. So that's awesome. So, maybe let's start, here backwards. A lot of times we do talk about how we got started, but since we're talking about your current deal, man, tell us a little bit more about kind of how you found it and how it occurred, and maybe we'll just jump into the conversation here, man.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned about setting goals, we did sit down every year, every start of the year, and set our goals for the coming year. And for this year, we have a number of deals that we target to close. We did not set the bar high. We're targeting to close around 4 deals. And early on, we had a good start. Like we closed one in March, and then we closed one in April, so we were already 50% of our goal even before the half of the year is done. But there's a really slowdown of deals coming out of the pipeline, 4 months, 5 months, where there's nothing that's really listed, and then by September, there's a lot of deals that came out, and so this deal is one of the marketed deals in DFW area. And I was talking to a lot of investors, a lot of other buyers, and because there was a holdup of 4 to 5 months where sellers did not list their property, and we feel confident that we are going to get one before the year ends, because there were around 30 to 40 deals that immediately got listed towards the end of the third quarter. And so we were excited. I told my partners we should be competitive in 2 or 3 of them, and potentially get one. And thankfully, we were able to get this. Because of the number of deals that was listed at the same time, this has a fewer buyers. There are fewer offers of this one, and so we were able to get it at a really attractive price.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, it's good timing for you guys, and it's the first. Well, yes, the first deals closed in March and April. Those deals were occurring. They were kind of in flight before the pandemic really heightened. And like you said, you knocked out a couple early. So then that period really is, we all know, we're recording this in November 2020. What happened was in March, the stuff hit the fan, and then the lenders kind of backed out. Deals, kind of collapsed in that moment. And if you had a deal in flight, I bet you were, well, I don't want to assume, where was your head at, man? Those deals started when? February, Jan, or what?
Yeah. So the one that we closed in March, it started in January, and so we were still confident, like, hey, this should be good. I mean, no problem.
Absolutely.
But here's what happened. That deal closed towards the end of March, and at that time, it was just the beginning of the lockdowns.
Okay.
Shelter in place mandates, and the lender does not even know what to do. Like they were like, are we going to close or not? And so since we are one of the earliest deals that closed on the lockdown period, the lender escrowed only a small amount from our deal.
Yeah.
But came this April deal, the lender already knows. They have set already the parameter that we're going to escrow principal and interest payment for 1 year, 1 year tax and insurance prepay. So we were hit with a big amount that is escrowed for that deal in April. But 6 months has already gone past. All we have to do is just wait another 6 months, and we can already get back those funds and hopefully go full blast on our CapEx projects. What we did was to adjust is to slow down our CapEx and time it so that the bulk of our CapEx projects will be in a year 2 instead of year 1.
Yep. Yeah. Let me frame this a little bit too, because for the passive investors, trying to figure this out, and also the general partners, a lot of times we're trying to figure out the nuggets for ourselves. So one of them was, that deal got found January, underwritten, and offer accepted, purchase sale agreement, basically all the contract negotiations, all the stuff is done. We're raising capital. Elaine's getting after it. And in March, I was still traveling on March the 15th. I went to a big real estate conference. I was one of the speakers. And when in that weekend, I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to get back home. I'm like, oh my gosh. So things happened crazily right in that March. So the lender was like, well, I guess, let's keep moving forward. But right after that deal, if you were trying to get another deal done, the lender started putting extra reserves than we would normally have to put down on new deals. And the reserve payments, it's just like, if you're a single family house owner, when you're buying a new house, just think of if they asked you for an extra, the first year's worth of payments, and go ahead and put those in escrow in advance to close. So you needed your closing money, you needed your money down, and then you needed an extra, mortgage payment for the next 12 months. And that's what happened. So kind of they skirted out that first deal in March. But then in April, it sounds like you probably had that deal under contract, like, that was before March also. So you had one expectations of terms, and then it changed midway through the close, right?
Yeah, that's right. And but the good thing is, that deal we were already able to raise the equity, and we were just waiting for the lender process to figure out what they end up asking for escrow at the end. And so since we are well capitalized, we have planned for our CapEx budget, our CapEx funds, and so we use that instead to put in as escrow funds. And as I mentioned, we trimmed down our CapEx project plan for year one, and planning it for year two instead, so that the money that will be released by lender is what we will be using. But thankfully, we were able to still close on that deal. The good thing is that deal is really doing well. It's cash flowing well, and so it's a good thing to have the free cash flow, the profits we actually used for our capex project partially, and we explained to our investors that, hey, our funds is escrowed, and we are a bit tight on cash, and so instead of distributing the free cash flow, we're going to use it as capex. But please expect a big distribution once the lender releases the escrow. So we can expect for our investors that they will have a very good chunk of cash distributions in the next year.
Yeah, we all like cash distribution, so that's good. And for the general partners that are listening to that, it's we're raising money for the down payment, money for the closing costs, money for all the hard costs that go in, due diligence, fees, all that good stuff. But then we're also raising some money for interior unit renovations. And so Elaine's, what I heard, I think summarized, your plan was to do the renovations in year one. We all want the rent bumps. We want to do them immediately. But coming from March to April, it's like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what's going to happen. Let me hold those back and not do the interior or do the value adds that you had planned. And then that's the money that was used in escrow. And so by doing so, you asked your investors, hey, or told them, hey, this is what's going to happen. And as for the passive investors, if this was like your first deal, I bet you're probably like, oh my gosh, what is going on? And how's this going to work? But it's funny, right? You've done 16 deals. I haven't done that many. I've only done like 6 or 7. But even through the beginning, like I was much more, I don't want to say nervous, but I was just more nervous right in the beginning. And now I'm like, oh yeah, this is the way they're going. Yeah, something changed. Yeah, they need more money. Oh, the appraisal switched. Oh, something happened. Oh, my closing was delayed. Yes, it's normal. But the first one was like, oh, what's going to happen, right? And now that the investors kind of see, hey, they're going to get a lot of money that year too, especially when the escrow's gone out. The money's there. It's an escrow. Anyways, I kind of hopefully shaped that or framed that a little bit. But that's a pretty awesome kind of series of events, right? And now that took you to tell us about number 3 and 4 during the year. What exactly happened? Everything's closed down. Like you said, sellers started listing their properties again. Okay, so take us to deal number 3 here.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, we are trying to get 4 deals, and our target was between 150 to 200 units. Now we stumbled into this. We were interested into this deal, the third one, and it is 408 units. And so that actually became, oh, this is equivalent to deal 3 and 4 now. And
Oh yeah.
so we are still hitting our target. In fact, as I mentioned, we are for this year, it's our biggest in terms of value of assets acquired. And this is our biggest year so far. And one of the things that's really positive about DFW is businesses have opened up, and so properties and apartment complexes are operating well. They are back on their occupancy. Their collection is also very good. And right after or right before we got the property under contract, the property had a record collection in September, and we were very excited about it because we know that it will help us a lot on the appraisal of the property by the lender. And October came and went, and after looking at the financials of October, it's even better than September. And so uh, we just got off the updates from the lender yesterday, and we found out that our appraisal came in 1 million higher than our purchase price. So it's
I
we
love
just
it,
got
man.
very excited, and early this week we sent updates to our investors telling them that hey, we are on track for closing before end of this year. And we are now again excited to send them the next update telling them that our appraisal came in at more than, I think it's 1.05 million higher than our purchase price. And so that's equity that's already gained the moment we close on the
Yeah.
property.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, congratulations, and that's amazing. And that's kind of what what happens often. We get in a deal, and then we're if you're conservative, and you're conservatively underwriting and putting offers on the right deals, and you get the right deal. That's kind of what you want to set yourself up for, is you're buying at the right basis, at a low basis. And so you're setting yourself up, and then people say, hey, you make money in real estate when you buy and not when you sell. And so that's exactly it, man. So that's awesome. So you've had a tremendous run, tremendous track record. Like, how in the world did this all get started, Elaine? Like, how long have you been doing real estate? Did you start with single family? Did you jump into commercial, only, give us some background, because there's a lot of people that are listening that are saying right now, like, man, I want to do exactly what Elaine's doing. So how did you get started? And we'll hear your story out, brother.
Yeah, so just to take you to the beginning, I moved here in 2011 from the Philippines. I'm Filipino, and we lived for a few months in my wife's family house in Florida, and moved here beginning 2012 because my job is here. And so I always wanted to go into real estate, and I didn't know what I'm doing then, but I just set up my investment LLC 2012, and then started looking at properties. Started single family rentals.
I love
We
it.
had a small apartment, and I was working in IT industry then. I was a software consultant, and I have a number of rentals that I need to target in order to step out of corporate world.
What did
I
you do before we get into this? What did you do in the Philippines? What was your profession?
um I'm a chemical engineer, so I work in an oleochemical manufacturing company,
Okay,
and
okay. So
yeah,
you're one of the smart guys. I'm not as probably astute as you are, my friend, but you're very one of the smart guys. Like I said, okay, cool. So
thank you.
you came over to the U.S. and pretty big change. I'm going to start an LLC. I'm going to buy real estate. What was it that you know caused you to go do that? Or
Well, I have read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad early 2000, and so
uh,
I was already determined to go into real estate. And the moment I came here, I have to read a lot, I have to study a lot, and learn things. Me and my wife saved enough to purchase a single family rentals and a small apartments. But when we were trying to scale up, it became a second job because I have to, my our rentals are scattered in DFW area, and every weekend, me and my wife like, oh, let's schedule to go there to these other rentals and this and that, and it came to a realization that it's becoming a second job, and so we were trying to figure out there should be another way where it's not this time consuming, and that that space, that real estate space is actually in apartments, just because you can hire a full-time staff to run your properties, and that's where I started in 2017, getting into bigger apartments, and after a year of dipping my toes in bigger apartment complexes, I was able to retire from corporate world. So 2018, step out of corporate world. I'm now full time in commercial real estate, and taking back your time is very very fulfilling. We have more time on our hands right now. We can spend time with friends and family, and it's been a good experience so far.
Yeah, what a tremendous, kind of background story, and kudos to you. You've had a lot of success, and wish you, a lot of success in the future, man. Hello, hello. You're listening to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review, and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the Five Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. And just God bless you in the future. So if you can give some tactical advice for somebody that is trying to make those steps also, they've gotten their profession, educated, they're making some decent, money, and maybe they are invested or thinking about investing in single family. Give them some tactical advice on how to do what you did, just in a more efficient way to eliminate some of the obstacles or pains you probably have had.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk mainly or mostly in apartments, and in apartment investing, there are a lot of pieces to the transactions, but you have to do two things in order to be successful. You have to find the deal, you have to find the money, and in order to be very successful in doing this, I highly recommend three things. First is invest in yourself through education and mentorship. Successful people have mentors, and I have a mentor that I pay a good chunk of money, and I consider it as investment on myself, and it has returned my money more than 20 times. Second is, experience is a good teacher, and as I mentioned, I have invested passively in 8 deals. That was the way for me to learn faster. I experienced I invested passively with experienced deal sponsors, and there are a lot of things that goes into the background in closing an apartment deal, and I have to be on the passive investing side so that I can learn their process, I improve it, and apply it on my own deals, and that's the success. That's the contributing success for me to be able to syndicate 8 deals as a lead sponsor. And third, this is about finding the money. So the first two is finding the deal. The third is finding the money. You need to network. This is how you build your investor database. You need to attend events. meetups. You know, pre-COVID, I used to go to 3 to 4 meetups a week, and
Wow.
at least one big event a month. And you have to talk to people, listen to their investing needs, and see if they are fit for your deals, and partner with them, gain their trust. Of course, you also have to present yourselves that of what you're doing, and what you have experienced so far. So those are three things you have to do: invest in yourself, get experience in investing passively, and network to find investors for your deal.
Yeah, I love it. That's so key. So I would say those three things. Let me, one more time in case you didn't get them. Invest in yourself, get experience, and then you're trying to find money, right? And I kind of say something almost exactly the same. There's an 80-20 rule that I have in what I do, and that's 80% of the profits come from 20% of the activities, and the two activities that I'm doing all the time. When anybody asks me, hey, how can I help you? I go, I'm either trying to find a deal or find investors. One of the two. So if you're either one of those that can help me, and it's going to provide the most value. But everything else, I appreciate your help anyways, right, through the process. And so that's really good because you're explaining a little bit more of this. So what are the different ways you can invest in yourself? For somebody hearing that, yeah, that's great, I'm going to invest in myself. How can we do that? What are some avenues to go do this?
Yeah, so you can read books. You can, of course, I would highly recommend you listen to podcast, Five Talents podcast by Abel Pacheco
I love
here.
it. I love it.
This is where you learn real stuff. Listening to people who have done it, and find mentorship. It can be a paid mentorship, and it can be like a mentorship through partnership. You may have you there may be some investors or experienced individuals there who are looking for junior partners who can do the job, who's willing to work for experience, and you can be that person. And so that's some kind of a partnership mentorship. And there are a lot of people out there who are coaches out there or mentors out there, who will get you under their wings. Of course, it comes with a cost, but I'm telling you that do not consider it as an expense, but consider it as an investment in yourself. Because if you do what the mentors are teaching you, I'm sure that you will gain back. Your money will be returned to you multiple times.
20x, yeah. In Elaine's case, which is amazing. I don't disagree with any of that, Elaine. All of it 100%. I've joined about 5 programs in the last 2 years: education, mentorship, masterminds, and every time I unfortunately spend the money, which is the unfortunate part, is they all cost a little. But man, every time I've done that, new doors get unlocked, new partnerships, new network, new opportunities. And this year was the first time I've actually said no to like 6 general partner deals, or the opportunities to come. And I'm sure you're in a very similar position, where at the beginning you're like, how do I get in? And now you're like, hey, I can't do all of these deals. There's no way. So it's amazing. It's a testament to that. And mentorship through partnership. Find a mentor, listen to podcasts, read some books. All great advice, right? Now, on the second point, you said get experience. I did the same thing you did. I invested passively in, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 deals. My wife in a deal too. So I invested passively. You see the P&L, you see the weekly or monthly, the monthly reports, quarterly distributions. You kind of see all of that on the inside. You see the strategy. You're not, in the huddle, but you see how afterwards, this is the how the play gets run, right? You see exactly the game film. So how does somebody else get experience, or maybe talk about the experience that a passive investor gets, and then what are some other ways to get experience?
Yeah, so when you are investing passively, you get a close look at what the deal sponsors are planning in terms of a business plan for the property, how they plan to make it profitable, and you get an inside track of that. You can ask those questions. Just because you're in a deal, you can get some updates as well, and then learn from there. And the second also is the syndication portion, where you have to read the legal documents in order for you to participate on that investment deal. You are able to learn or read on the private placement memorandum, the operating agreement, the subscription documents, and so the subscription agreement. And so once you go, you read through those, and you learn the technical or the legal language of how to get into the deal, and you watch out, or you learn what are the items to watch out, like if the distribution will be return of capital or return on capital. You learn to watch the items that you as an investor, it will protect you as an investor. And so once you're on the investing, a passive investing side, you jump into the deal sponsor side, and you will say, okay, I feel good about investing in a deal because this was the protection that was given to me. And as a deal sponsor, I should also provide those protections to my investors. Now, keep in mind that one of the main concerns of the investors is preservation of capital. And so make sure that the alignment of the goals of the deal sponsor and the investors, the passive investors, are the same, which is it should be the preservation of capital. And you learn that by investing on deals. Now, you may also learn by cash is limited, and if you have limited funds, you may be able to participate in one deal and reserve your cash for your own deals. And so what you can do is still listen to investor webinars. There are many deals that are being syndicated. What you need to do is get into the investor database of these deal sponsors, so that when they have offering, you can listen to their investor webinar. You can look at their go through their investment package and learn from there. It's free, and you don't have to. If you're short on investment funds, you don't have to invest, but you can still listen to their webinars and go through the details of the business plan for the project.
Absolutely. All good points. Those are all great because, like you said, most of us, I don't know who's listening, but most of us don't have an unlimited amount of capital to invest. So we're trying to be very selective, but man, I still want to learn through this stuff. Hey man, go network, get on some capital, some syndicators list, so that you can be very careful with your capital, but look at all of them, check them all out, take your notes, see what you like. And man, if your goal is to be, or I say man a lot, so sorry, man or woman, if you are planning on doing a deal yourself and leading it, then you can kind of start to learn, this is what I like, this is what I don't like. Here's what they did, here's what I won't do. Here's what I want to stay conservative, and then, figure out who your tribe is. And Alain, did any of these deals get done on your own as the only person in the general partner team? Any of them?
Oh, what's that, Abel?
Did any of these deals get done on with you as the sole person doing the deal?
No. This is a team sport. Now here's I like to share this one.
Please.
So I've mentioned earlier that we have a target. I have a target number of rentals to get into to be able to step out of corporate world and retire. Now, so when we wanted to go bigger, I told my wife, hey, let's buy bigger apartments. And we actually, our thinking was still the single family rental mindset. And I said, we can do this on our own. Let's find deals. And I underwrote a lot of deals. I toured many deals, called brokers. And after almost a year of doing it by ourselves, I have 0 doors acquired. So I wasted almost a year, and I told myself and my wife that this is a team game, and we need to be inside a team so that we'll be able to get a deal. You have to have a connection. You have to have relationship with property management company, lenders, legal counsel, both in the transaction and the syndication, attorneys, um, vendors, contractors who can help you on your capex projects. You have to have a team, and if you're not on a team, um, you're not going anywhere. I wasted almost a year trying to say I can do it by myself. Unfortunately, that's not the way to go.
Yeah. And the reason I asked this question here, Elaine's response is exactly what I knew he was going to say, is because as you're listening to those investor webinars and looking through OMs and trying to quote unquote get experience, maybe not having to invest in all of these deals, you're finding the right ones, but you're also trying to figure out like who is going to be the team that I want to work with in the future, and who, will I go talk with, because I'm sure you may have one or two of your go-to people that are already in your circle, already in your network, but unless unless they already have a track record or experience in a multifamily, chances are you're going to have to go to somebody with experience and partner with them to go get on a general partner piece of the deal, one of the principals in the deal. So you're kind of filtering all that stuff. That's part of the experience, part of, what Elaine mentioned, networking, right? So how did you find, maybe you can talk about this a little bit. How did you find your partners? How did that all kind of work out? Like, did you filter based on, hey, you're full-time, I'm full-time, or you had experience, or you had money and I have time, or what? How did all that unfold?
Well, here's a tip, Abel. When you find your partners, make sure that you're able to look them eye to eye and have a frank conversation. If you cannot do that, I don't think they are the right partners for you. You have to be comfortable with them. So that's first. Now, in terms of finding my partners, I mentioned I got into a mentorship program, and that's where many of my partners I have met and talked to them, and you have to it says at first it should be a gut feel, but second, there should be an alignment of skill set. You need to be able to both benefit from doing that partnership, and that's how I find my main partners in sponsoring deals. So one is a CPA, so he does go over the financials and also handles the legal and tax matters. And one is a proper project management professional, so he does vendor oversight, property management oversight, and investor relations. I'm more, since I came from single family rentals and small properties, I'm more of the operations guy. I can handle the day-to-day leasing in terms of operating the property, the maintenance portion, and in acquisition, I'm pretty close on our rehab budget. If you show me, hey, this is the property, go through it and tell us what are the capex project and what are the capex items and deferred maintenance that we need to include. I'm very close. Most of the time, I'm within less than 10% of whatever the contractors bid during the due diligence, the physical due diligence. So that's where my strength is. Now, in terms of the vendors, in terms of the team that you have to build in order to do the transaction, complete the transaction. Since I joined that mentorship program, there are also vendors that are already vetted there, and that's very important because vetting the vendors is key. If this is apartments is a multi-million-dollar transaction, you make a very small mistake, it could already cost you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. And selecting the right vendor, the right service provider, is very important, and they should be vetted. And being on a big investment group, we know that they will do right by us because of the volume and the transaction and the business that we do with them.
Yep. Yeah. All good stuff, man. Thank you very much for that insight. So, um, the last thing, I've had such a great conversation. I'm looking at the clock. You're getting towards the end, but you had mentioned three things: finding, really, sorry, the investing in yourself, getting experience, finding money. So, how in the world do you find money? And then maybe we'll wrap up on this point. And it's been amazing conversation so far, Alain. So, how do you find money? Like, what in the world? How do I find millions of dollars to close a deal, brother?
Yeah, so I know you have a good reach. Your audience is vast, and I know there are many people who are sitting on their office homes, and they are they are also have a lot of money in their bank. Make that the money work for you. If that money does not grow when you're asleep, then it does not do you good. So reach out to me because I can definitely help you grow that money, and that's Abel. Thank you very much for getting me on your show because this is one way of reaching out to passive investors, to partners who want to invest their money. And so I'm happy. They can reach out to me through my email, Alain Villegas at yahoo.com. That's ALAIN VILLEGAS. And you can also connect me in Facebook and LinkedIn, Alain Villegas. So this is being on your podcast. I know, and based on my experience, when you find a good operator on a podcast, those who are looking to invest, reach out to them because they will help you, and it will be a beneficial and a partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. For the passive investors listening, like, there's a ton of expertise, a ton of resources, in Elaine, and, obviously he's always looking for new investors, as am I. So we can, reach out to us. And, it's funny enough, we're taking the time to do this. This is exactly why. One of them is like, get some extra reach. We'd love to talk with you. We'd love to provide you some education, some insight. And this just scales very well, right? We can have this conversation and 100 people can play it, as opposed to we can't talk to everybody 24 hours a day. So unfortunately that's not the way it is, but yeah, that's great. And if I'm let's just say I'm a general partner and I'm trying to figure out how do I raise my first $1,000,000. What are some tactical steps that they can do to raise capital?
Yeah. So network, and find or listen to people, talk to people, find their investing needs, and once you're able to figure out what their sweet spot is in terms of the comfort level of investing with you, the returns that they're trying to get, or they project to get from their funds, that will also be your baseline point in trying to get your deals. Say if you have investors who are saying, I need at least 15% IRR on my money, and that's what you target for your deals. And once you have that, get or present that to your investor, and say, hey, I'm sitting I'm looking at this deal, and would you be willing to invest? I'm taking I'm trying to get some soft commitments, and that's how you find your first million.
Yeah.
It's you'll be amazed at how many people are there out there who are sitting on lots of funds and just waiting for the right investment. So find them and listen to them, and also do your part in making sure that your deal is solid.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you very much, Elaine. It's been an amazing conversation, and I really appreciate it. Is there anything we haven't talked about today that you want to bring up, bring some exposure to, or anything you were hoping I asked and it just didn't? Any last parting words? Anything in general?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm a managing director of Abundance Equity Partners, and we're always looking for deals, mainly in Houston and Dallas, Fort Worth. Our sweet spot is 150 units or more, 80s construction. We can do 70s construction as long as it has already done some or have some the property has been improved for the past few years. Reach out to us if you have deals. Those who are brokers out there, or those who find some off market deals that we can potentially partner. We are open for business. Reach out to us and reach out to me, and let's do some deals.
All right, let's get it done. Hey, Alain, thank you very much for your time, man. It's been awesome, and I know there's more than a few nuggets here that were drops. There's some insight and wisdom for you to learn and go take and apply to your own business. And if you're a passive investor, there was a few things also that I think is going to help you along the way. So we appreciate it. Again, my name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host for the Five Talents Podcast, and we would love you to help us have more amazing guests like Alain. If you subscribe to our podcast, rate us, and leave us a written review. It helps more than you know. And we want to get listed in the top, and we want to bring more amazing guests just like Alain. So thank you very much for doing so. And we hope to see you on our next show. Alain, thank you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you, Abel.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Five Talents Podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who followed their dreams and achieved massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the Five Talents Podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the Five Talents Podcast.